So today we got a question from a bro who wants to know, yo, Elliot, I'm 57 years old. I work out 5 days a week and I want to be able to bench press over 250 pounds. Can I make this happen, bro? Let me know. Yes, of course you can. But before we go, you want to know my name is Elliot Hulse. I'm a strongman strength coach and I've been making men strong here on YouTube since 2007. And you just discovered your new favorite fitness channel for men over 40. And if you want to work one-on-one with old Uncle Yo in order to get jacked and lean for your second half of life, click the link down below or go to alphaschool.ai. Now, when it comes to your ability as a 57-year-old man, it's no different than any other man. You just got to be a little bit more precise in your attack. We got to take a look at two things. We got to take a look at you and we got to take a look at your programming. And inside those two things, there are 4 principles that we need to pay attention to. When it comes to you, you need the ability of flexibility. You need stability. You need strength and you need power. When all 4 of those are hitting, when all those cylinders are hitting, you will be able to produce the most amount of strength and power that you possibly can. But we got to get the foundation right first. And then we got to take a look at your programming. Your programming has 4 qualities as well. You got volume, you got intensity, you got frequency, and you got recovery. So we're going to sort of gloss over each of these principles so that you can apply them to getting your bench press up. When it comes to flexibility, there are some typical muscular imbalances of the upper body that most guys, most people have, and it just gets worse as we get older. It could be referred to as upper cross syndrome because there are certain muscles that have a tendency to be tonic, tight, but you also have certain muscles that have a tendency to be phasic, or weak. They just get flaccid over time, mainly because of the tight muscles pulling, stretching, and desensitizing the muscles that are getting weaker. Okay, let's talk about this. So what are the muscles of the upper body, the upper cross that typically get tight? Sternocleidomastoid, right? You wouldn't think about it, but your shoulder stability has a lot to do with your neck. If your neck is jutting out and you got one of these going on, they call it text neck. Oftentimes it's because your sternocleidomastoid, this muscle right here, which goes, think about what it's called, sternum, clavicular, sternum, clavicular, mastoid, right, in your joint, right? So that's where it is right here, but it can throw everything below off balance, bro, if it's not lined up right? So when you're bench pressing, you might think, okay, well, what does it have to do with my bench press? When you're bench pressing, if your chin is jutted out like that, you're gonna get a rotation at your shoulder. That's gonna cause you to have a bad foundation for your pressing, and it's not good. So you ever see guys who are bench pressing and they got their chin up like this, or even if it's tucked slightly a little bit, they're not pressing off of a strong base. You need a base in your upper body to press really hard off of, and that comes through lengthening the back of your neck. You gotta lengthen the back of your neck, tuck your chin, and the only way you can do that is if this muscle, you've got a cross here, this muscle is overdeveloped and tight, you gotta stretch it, and these muscles, your infra and omohyoid muscles, deep cervical flexors, those gotta be strong. So you gotta be able to press the back of your neck into the bench press so that you have just think about it, a firm foundation, bang, and you can, boom, push right off. Or think about this being on the bench, right? Bang, right? So it's one of the muscular imbalances that are gonna lead to instability that is not gonna allow you to have the strength and the power that you want, right? And so you wanna get that really fixed up. The other one, there are many, the other one is medial rotation and the sort of rounding forward of the shoulder. Pec minor, bicep, pec minor and bicep. I mean, everything that we do in life tends towards flexion. I mean, think about it. We grow in the womb flexed. You literally come out of a flexed position. When you were in the womb, you grew like this, right? So it's sort of, I don't want to say unnatural, but it takes a fight against resistance for us to open up, right? Open up. But if we're texting all day, or driving all day, or the computer all day, we're just being a human, we flex. And over time, at 57 years old, you've done a lot more flexing than you have done extending. What does that do? It makes these muscles tight and tonic. And these ones back here, weak and flaccid and and not solid for a pressing foundation. The flexibility and stability work together, because if you have muscular imbalances, then you don't have stability. And you have muscular imbalances, you get tightness. You got to work on the flexibility by stretching the pec minor, stretching the biceps, stretching the sternocleidomastoid, stretching the traps also too, because the tendency is to hike up. And so when it comes to the stability, we want to focus on strength. Okay. To create stability, we have to remove muscular imbalances. And muscular imbalances are created by certain muscles that are tight, like I said before, and certain muscles that are weak. And most people, they don't think in terms of bench press how important it is for the scapular to be retracted, to be drawn down. You need it to be drawn down and back, right? Because once again, look how flat and strong that foundation is that I'm going to be laying on my bench. As opposed to if I start rounding a little bit, right? I start hiking a little bit, the shoulder is not in its instantaneous axis of rotation. You start having problems. So flexibility, stability, right? Real quick gloss over. There's a lot more to it, but you got to think about that. Do you have the flexibility and stability in your torso? Strength is once you have that firm foundation, right? Do you have the ability to produce force? Right out of that strong position. And then power, which is, can I produce speed? Can I move that thing quickly? So if you got a firm foundation, you can produce force and you can also move quickly from that firm foundation. You, my friend, are in a position to start increasing your bench press. Then you're programming. You're going to start thinking in terms of volume. That means how many reps, how many sets you're going to do. You want to think in terms of your frequency. How often am I going to do this? You want to think in terms of your intensity. How much weight am I going to use? And you got to think about recovery, which is basically the best use of the first three things. In terms of your ability to press more weight, you need to, let's talk about intensity. Press more weight. You're going to put more weight on the bar. How are you going to do that in conjunction with the other principles? Volume. When it comes to strength training, the volume needs to be lower than you typically would when you do bodybuilding. We got to make a distinction between the two because it's important. There is a rep range that supports your ability to produce force, and there's a rep range that increases your body's ability to produce sarcoplasm, puffiness, hypertrophy, right? And so when it comes to increasing your strength, you want your rep ranges to be like between doubles, triples, and fives, twos, threes, and fives, right? If you're going to work up to a single, you want to work within that type of rep range, the intensity. Now, here's the thing. You don't want gut busting intensity. You don't want to max out frequently. You don't really ever actually want to do the type of high school gut busting, screaming, kicking your legs all over the place, everybody shouting in your face kind of rep. Like as a 57-year-old, that's ridiculous. That's going to fry your nervous system. It's going to give you an aneurysm or some shit. That's dumb. Don't do that. Although it's fucking fun as hell. Like I've done that, right? And I'm 45 and I'm done. I don't do it anymore. I did a strongman show last year. I don't do that shit anymore, right? I don't need to. Why, right? So you want to work within so even though that's your rep range, you want to manipulate your intensity to be anywhere between 70% and 90, maybe 95%, right? You don't ever want to press so heavy, make the intensity so much so that you fail, right? You want to be able to train on your own with a power rack. And now here we're talking about strength, right? So we talked about volume, right? Reps and sets, 5x5s, 6 sets of 3, 7 sets of 2, shit like that. Then when it comes to the intensity, 70, 90%. Then when it comes to the frequency, if you're not doing bodybuilding, and you're doing lower volume, you could actually do more frequency. Like I bench press 3 days a week. Right? Because I'm not doing a massive amount of repetitions. I'm just hitting. And now this comes to the last part. what do we talk about? Frequency and then recovery, right? So recovery and power, kind of, there were the two last things. I want to talk about this real quick. So in terms of your repetitions, you want to do your repetitions not like grinders, right? You don't ever want to go so heavy that you're grinding. I said that already. You want to be able to come down and pop up. You want to move quickly, right? So that's associated with your ability to do shit. I said that before. Doing things quickly like bands and chains. This is where like conjugate periodization is helpful. Look into concurrent periodization. This is where you're building multiple different qualities at once. A lot of powerlifters do this. But then your recoverability. Your recoverability has less to do with cold showers and fish oil and all that biohacks. Those things are good. But it has more to do with how you're manipulating the variables in your programming. You'll recover better if you're not doing gut busting grinders and you're keeping the volume low. You'll recover better. You don't have to do anything magical. Massages are good. Cold showers are good. These things are good. Sauna is good. But they're more necessary when you're destroying yourself. And most of the time, when guys are, most bros, right? I mean, like not strength coaches and people that know. Like I get a lot of comments from people down below that like know shit. I'm talking about like guys who are like, yeah, I got my life. I got a family. I got work. Like, so I haven't made this into a profession. What do I do? Generally, they go in and they do bodybuilding shit. And that too much bodybuilding will destroy you. It'll destroy you, and it's not going to actually necessarily be the shortest path to lifting more weight. So anyway, there was a whole lot in there. I hope that was helpful to you, dude. Talk soon. Done.